Big Blue Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Bluegrass Breakdown. I'm back with Israel Schill. We got a dub on the scoreboard.
We did.
Kentucky Wildcats beat Toledo 24-16. Starting off the episode, I think the biggest discussed point so far has been Zach Calzada.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about him? Do you think he's still the answer? Kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at his stats, it definitely wasn't pretty. 10 for 23, 85 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had some great balls. He threw some great balls throughout that game.
Thank you for saying that.
The one that didn't count on the sideline I can't remember who that was to on the sideline there, where he was called out of bounds. Or his elbow was out of bounds.
I believe it was Hardly.
I think it was. And then there was another one in the back of the end zone that I think it was Kendrick Law caught, but his butt was down, but his feet were sticking out of bounds.
Right.
So those were two good passes, I thought, that from Calzada to give them a chance to put some points on the board. Neither of them counted. But when you go back and you look at it, regardless, it was not an impressive performance.
Yeah, it was 10-2 for most of the game, and that is the most what's the word for the the score that's never happened in the NFL? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
It's one of those, and it's like, bro, it's 10-2.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with the pregame graphic or the postgame graphic ready to go, and I'm ready to type the score and get it posted. Yeah. And I'm like, is it really gonna be 10-2, bro?
Really gonna be 10-2.
But honestly, I mean, I thought Calzada put together some good drives,
Agreed.
But obviously,
For sure.
they all. The first drive, I was like, okay, bad call on the rest. Thought it was a catch.
Yeah.
It's fine. Come back. And, these are all out of order, but there's a drive where Willie fumbles the ball after
a great catch and run.
23-yard gain.
I mean, it looked like he was going to set them up in perfect field position to score.
Yeah, and then you have a guy screaming down at you, and you decide to throw the ball at the receiver anyway, and it's a pick.
Yeah.
Those are little things you got to clean up. If you really count all the throws that probably would count as completions in another game, I think he's only, he's around the 15 for 23 mark, which is very serviceable for a quarterback. That's very serviceable.
For sure.
But looking at the box score and you see 85 yards, it's risky, but I'm also adamant to see how much he improves because they ran the ball 43 times.
And not even just that they ran the ball so much, is they passed the ball so little. And I think that that's a problem. And I think, yes, they do have an amazing group of backs to put out there. I mean, we saw it, 14 carries from Dante Dowdell, 129 yards and a touchdown, average 9.2 yards per carry. That's nearly a first down every time he touches the ball.
Yeah, well, that's
great.
Fluctuated by that big one. But
It's true. But I thought Josh Caddis played very well last game. I mean, he had 3 receptions for 43 yards. He did have that one, believe it was in the third quarter, where Calzada dotted him up, dude. And Caddis got up there for the high point, got it, and then landed and kind of dropped it. I thought that was another good ball that I think would have kind of helped Calzada's case.
Right. I mean, oh gosh, I don't know what to say because we talked all offseason. This has to be a run team. This is a bread and butter type of team. You have a great defense, great O-line, great backs. You just got to utilize that.
Yeah.
Now we got to be nitpicky because we have a game to look at. And the fact that only 2 completions were made to the wide receiver core absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, me too.
The fact I was talking so highly of Kendrick Law. I know he probably was very close to getting a touchdown, but it was he doesn't have a reception outside of that.
And Stoops talked about that on the radio show.
Yeah, hardly caught 2, but those were -5 yards.
Yeah, and it's,
my Lord.
I mean, it's tough. Like I said, Stoops talked about it on the radio show that, he was very aware. He made it very known that he is aware that the wide receivers did not get a lot of touches. But he also talked about the week before that he wanted to do the bruising back style of offense, and it worked. It worked to score 24 points, but will that work against Ole Miss? Probably not. So you're going to have to start airing it out a little bit. And if you're Calzada, I would say maybe 4 or 5 plays there where maybe changes his completion percentage a little higher, but also could have added him maybe 65, 70 more yards and probably 2 more touchdowns if some of those passes got completed. So I think Calzada's numbers look deflated also because of just some of the lack of production from the wide receivers in general. It just seemed like there wasn't many options for Calzada to really get an open ball.
Well, I will disagree with you because I don't think you necessarily have to air it out, quote unquote. You'll have your shot plays, but Ole Miss is such a high tempo team, and we know that this is probably one of the. It sounds crazy to say, but this is one of the worst defenses Kentucky will see SEC wise.
Yeah.
So and that's not a diss to Ole Miss. That's just affirmation to Texas and Florida, who I think has a very solid defense this year. Tennessee, it's all those people combined. I think you just got to run the ball. I think you just got to slow the tempo down and let Kentucky be Kentucky, and especially in Lexington, you have a young quarterback with Ole Miss. You're not going to necessarily depend on him to put up 50.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone expects Kentucky to put up 50 either. So, I think it could be a slower game that kind of buys into that whole Kentucky traction of just running the ball. And then just like they did against Toledo, take your shots when you got them.
Yeah, before we fully start to break down this Ole Miss matchup for this week, I do want to bring up the safety that Calzada let up. I think Stoops said it too. It's I don't understand why they took that safety, but I also don't understand how it happens. It wasn't – Calzada had a read there to hand the ball off and just get out of the end zone and get maybe even 2 or 3 more yards on that play. He disses the read, drops back to throw, and instantly he's got somebody right on his face. And then he basically just sits down. You know what I mean? He just takes the safety. And I think, you got to make that read better next time. I think you got to get the handoff. There was a lot of mistakes, but I think if you avoid some of the mistakes like that safety and some of the overthrows and a lot of the fumbles, I do think they can put together a heck of a game against Ole Miss.
So to preview Ole Miss a little bit, we got to talk about Austin Simmons. He's their sophomore quarterback. He can air it out a little bit, obviously. I mean, they haven't played an SEC opponent yet, but 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You have, I almost said Kyron Lacey. Oops. Kawan Lacey, their running back, and Wallace third. I mean, they have very down the line. Those are their 3 big dogs, right? I think they have a very high-powered offense. I think it's a very standard Ole Miss team. Nothing to shock the world at, but I think they can do some damage this year in the SEC. I just believe this is an underdog situation that you don't want to be in when you're going into Lexington. I'm not going to say up front that Kentucky is going to win. But when you look at the opening spread being minus 10.5, you know that in the past 4 games, every single one's been decided by 3 points with Ole Miss.
Yep.
It's always been a tough, gritty battle. Kentucky's come out more often than not in those gritty battles. And personally, I just think with the Brad White defense being as stellar as it can be. I mean, Sack'em Souls, Alex Safari.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize because I remember saying outside of Alex Safari, I didn't know a linebacker. But, dude, Steven Souls Jr. absolutely
just tore it up last week.
Tore it up, and I'm like, okay, this guy's insane. Yeah. I didn't realize. So, apologies for not knowing ball. But
gotta respect the recognition.
Yeah, right.
Gotta respect it.
But I think, again, I reiterated this point before, but I don't care what the personnel is that Brad White has. I think he can just put up he's
a great coach,
a great defense.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe that Ole Miss is going to have enough to necessarily combat that to a T. I think they can put up points, but not There's some people expecting them to come in and put up 35, and I just don't see. I don't think that's just realistic.
I think the defense played great against Toledo, and against an offense who, we said this last week. It's Toledo, whatever. That's, say what you want about Toledo. This is a Toledo team that got 13 top 25 votes, has a quarterback who's been starting on that team forever, has multiple wide receivers who, were all MAC last year. That was a team that had a great offense. Yeah. They're not easy to stop. And Kentucky, I'd say defensively did a great job holding them back from scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, the big point, 63 points against Georgia State is
Ole
Miss, but it didn't all come from the offense.
Yeah.
It all come off of capitalization on those mistakes. And
for sure.
We talk about the Calzada safety. We talk about the Willie fumble, his interception.
Yeah.
That's potentially 21 points if Ole Miss is already in enemy territory. They're very capable of that. I'm just saying, kick it off to them. They started on the 25 or whatever it is. I don't necessarily see them driving the entire field on Kentucky every single drive.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are expecting that. Just, again, I don't think it's realistic. What we have to see, like you said, maybe those 4 or 5 completions that Calzada could have had that added 60 yards. I think anyone's taking a 15 for 23 game with 160 yards and a touchdown or two.
Yeah, because definitely a few of those were touchdown plays that he was making.
And when you have such a good run game, that's all you really need. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, at Lexington, it's going to be one of those, midday games. When I looked at the slate, it kind of dominates. Like, there's not a lot of good games coming up this Saturday.
I think it's going to be
it's going to be pretty
sellout.
Big. It's on
for
ABC.
Sure. Yeah,
so
I think it's definitely going to sell out in Lex. You know what I mean? I think people love to watch good football, whether or not the Cats are amazing. You know what I mean?
Right.
People were definitely a little up in the air about it last week. The stadium was probably 3/4 of the way full. Maybe close to that, but Mississippi, they got a 84% chance at winning this game, according to ESPN Analytics. Definitely not a good look if you're the Cats, but last year they also had a really low chance of winning the game, and they pulled it out. The year before that, it was a close game, and even the year before that, we lost off a false start on a touchdown at the very end of the game from Dane Key.
Right.
So, there's definitely a lot of chances. I think if the mistakes are cleaned up, I think it's going to be a great game. I definitely think Calzada is going to stay in the whole game. I don't think they're going to pull him regardless of whether or not he's doing bad.
I've heard some Cutter talk already, and
but I think it's wishful thinking from a lot of fans.
It's way too early.
I think it's just far too early to see that. We don't get these SEC matchups usually this early into the season. So I do think it's a great test for the Cats to be able to get a team like Ole Miss out of the way early, because usually you're playing, all right, you had Toledo last week, we got Eastern Michigan, and then we're going to play West Tennessee Tech State University,
right.
And then Uzma Kappa State University, just like these random schools.
I don't think Stoops is this type of coach, but the only scenario where Calzada is not the quarterback is if Ole Miss absolutely blows Kentucky out. He throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
If he's
and you're like, okay, we have Eastern Michigan, a very winnable game, no matter who's at quarterback. Let's start Cutter and see what Cutter's about.
Yeah.
But then, again, do you want to throw Cutter against South Carolina on the road? It's a good debate, but
at the end of the day, though, it's like if you're Cutter, eventually these types of games are going to have to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You have to face it eventually. Yeah.
And if he wants to be the premier starter at Kentucky that a lot of the fans are kind of brewing up and expect him to be, you have to be able to take that step in whenever and be like, all right, I'm going to go into South Carolina and against Shane Beamer and against that team that's looking great this year and do the best I can. And I think he's got it in him for sure.
I do want to add one more point on this, is that Lane Kiffin did add that he was not over the game from last year, and said that it still hurts and it's still on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, this guy's a Hall of Fame coach, but with that on your conscience, and you know how tight these games are with Kentucky, it's almost one of those things where it's like the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
Like, it happens once, it's
Gonna happen again.
yeah. And I think there's a world where Kentucky can pull this off. And if you pull off a ranked win this early in the season for a team that's struggling, and you have a very winnable game against Eastern Michigan week 3 or week 4.
3.
Oh, yeah,
Michigan
3.
next
Yeah.
week, yep.
Stupid. I always think week 0 counts for some reason.
No, I get what you're saying.
But no. And then you 3-0 going into South Carolina. That could be a crazy, primetime game where everyone's like, can Kentucky do it? And they won't do it, not at South Carolina.
But I do think, like, the energy that the team's kind of missing right now will be there if they do get to that 3-0 point. You know what I mean? Going into South Carolina, I think the fans will be happy and excited for the team again, and I think the players will be, because it's different than the last few years where Kentucky started off the season, not last year. Maybe the 3 years before that, where they start off 4-0, 5-0, and they end up, top 10 ranked at the beginning of the year and then blow the rest of the season away. I think it's different now because Kentucky didn't have those expectations on their shoulders to start the year, and a lot of fans were pretty adamant about them sucking. So I think right now, if they get to the point where, all right, we're 3-0, we beat a ranked Ole Miss, we're going to go into South Carolina, I think there's going to be a lot of energy behind the squad.
Now, I want to bring this up, but Kentucky is currently 5th in the SEC.
All right.
I know you were talking about this. Will this be the highest we ever see them throughout the season?
Yes.
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 You're saying yes.
Well, actually, no, because if we do beat Ole Miss, then that's a 1-0 conference record. I don't think anybody else is playing in conference. So I think that'll technically boost us to 1 for a week.
Okay.
And then if somebody else wins an in-conference game,
yeah,
it'll go up.
I think it's hilarious looking down.
Yeah, Alabama at 15, Texas at 16 right now. I don't know. I mean, this is backwards. Arkansas is at 1.
Arkansas at 1.
These standings are definitely, definitely first week standings.
Yeah. I think it's so important for the program to get this Ole Miss win because as it stands, I'm going to bring this up with grace, but if you know with the Jamarian Wilcox situation, if you know about some of the players who have been acting out in the past years, there's kind of a culture thing going on in Kentucky, and there's not a lot of people who are believing in Mark Stoops to be the guy at the helm of that. As a coach, you got to just go out there and win ball games.
Yep.
And that changes everything. That not changes. I mean, I know you can't go back and fix those little things that happen, but it can arise brand new beginnings, and that's all that matters. You have to just go out, win a couple ball games, and start something where, like you said, if you're 3-0 going to South Carolina, maybe the fans will actually get back into it. Yeah. Maybe you're going to
have some people travel down there.
So, I mean, we need at the University of Kentucky to have a world where everyone cares, and I feel like Mark Stoops is trying at least to start something.
Yeah. I do just want to bring up a little tidbit. Last time the Kentucky Wildcats beat Ole Miss in back-to-back seasons. Any guesses? You got any guesses?
It was recently, no? No?
Because we didn't play them in 2023.
Oh, okay.
So.
What?
1964 and 1965.
Whoa.
It's been about 65 years? 60-something years.
It's too early for that. But
yeah, right. Since they won back-to-back games against Ole Miss. So there's a little bit on the line here.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
You know what I mean? They did it with Florida. Think about that. The last time they had beat Florida back-to-back before our sophomore year was the 70s or something. So
yikes.
There's a chance. There's a chance that they can pull it off.
When's the last time they beat Vandy, though? That's all.
They have not beat Vandy since we became students here in 2022. So That's not a good look. Actually, that's not true. They beat them once.
Right.
They beat them once.
Last point. Flex game for Kentucky, South Carolina. I'm super excited to see if that's a evening game.
I would love
I
to
will
be that
be
as an
there,
evening
so
game.
I'm very if I get a little night SEC game, 3-0 Cats against
Yeah, if
number
they're
10 South Carolina.
if they're
that'd be
3-0
kinda hype.
and South Carolina's 3-0, then they'll flex that to a night game.
Also, shout out Nick Roush. I'm going to go ahead and say it, but UK spokesperson told him that Grove Street Party is still in the rotation.
We didn't hear it.
We didn't hear it, but it's still in the rotation.
I know the fans are hurt.
And I think after the Rebels come out, I think
Maybe we'll get some partying. Maybe we'll get some partying out there.
I think so. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, 3:30 p.m. this Saturday, Kroger Field, man, Lexington. It's gonna be 65 degrees. It's gonna be beautiful weather for some football.
It's perfect.
It's
weather.
perfect football
love it.
weather. I think fans will show out, pack the place. I think it's gonna be a great game. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think it'll be a great game. I think the Cats have a chance.
All right, final score prediction.
Let's go final score. You go first. Let me think about this for a second.
Well, see, I already typed it down, and now I have to go look for
You gotta
it.
go look. I can't. I need to hear what everybody else is thinking before I go for something right now.
The part that's funny is that a lot of people are saying like 35-3.
Ole Miss?
Yeah,
Bro, come on, man.
It's like, come on, dude.
Come on, dude.
I had 28-24 Kentucky was my final score.
Okay. I'm going to go 34-24 Ole Miss.
Okay.
I think it'll be an Ole Miss win.
I'm more motivated.
He's more motivated than me. But I mean, hey, 24 points. If the Cats could put up 24 on Ole Miss, I'll take it. I think if the defense shows out, they can definitely keep Ole Miss under 30.
I think the reason I say 28-24, I think there's so much room for there to be those plays that Ole Miss can make. Yeah. And it's just like you said, maybe there's a flag, there's a out of bounds call or false start, and it's holding drive killers. I think that's a world that Ole Miss is about to enter going into Kroger Field.
It's still early in the season too, so the mistakes are still going to be there.
I'm wishful, bro.
Yeah.
I want it to happen. I'll be there. Our own Lane Mills and Tristan Ferris will be there covering the game.
I want to say one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
When we come back next week and we're ranked,
easy.
It's going to be lit. It's going to be lit.
Do you think they'd actually be ranked?
If they beat a number 20 Ole Miss, go 2-0, and they have a convincing win.
Are they 17 now?
Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think because new poll.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
But I don't think they'd be ranked, though.
Let's see. 1 second, guys.
I don't think Kentucky would be ranked regardless.
Hey, man. No, Ole Miss is still 20.
Oh, okay.
Ole Miss is still 20. I think that if Kentucky gets a win against Ole Miss, they'll be 25. Maybe get
I don't believe it.
Me neither. They might get 10 votes, but that'd be nice. Some votes would be cool. Would be cool.
You got to beat South Carolina and Eastern Michigan, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
they'll definitely be ranked after that. But
yeah. Kentucky usually ends
we'll
up
cross
ranked
that
at
bridge.
one point. Yeah, we got plenty of time to talk about ranked Kentucky.
Thank you all for watching and listening to another episode. Make sure to check us out on all socials, KY Insider on everything, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all the goods. And make sure to check out our website, kyinsider.com. Got great player stories. Just put one up, a little self-promo about the little mock draft. So just make sure to go check that out for us. And we'll see you all next Wednesday.